communication suites and its role as an industry catalyst. And I think we're all interested in the consumer relationships there too. So welcome, Josh.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. And I think it's still working. You can hear me? Yeah, good. I didn't mess it up.
I think the better question is mine working. Yes, it is. Okay,
yes, I suppose.
Right.
No one wants to hear me. Everybody's here for you. That's true. Well, good. Well, thanks, Josh, for being with us today. I appreciate it. And so, like Steve said, we're here to talk about RCS. Yeah. So I think this afternoon we're getting everything. We're getting national security, we're getting 5G, we're getting yet another acronym, we're getting RCS. But it's kind of a thing. RCS is a thing. And so maybe you can, RCS is a messaging technology.
Yep.
And should we think of it as an update to SMS and MMS? I guess
Sure.
Where does RCS fit within the sort of messaging space?
Absolutely. So in the beginning, there was SMS. That's been around for 25 years. But when you think about it, it's still the #1 used application in the world. So it's bigger than email. It's bigger than fixed telephony. Any service, if you consider SMS an app, it is the #1 app with over 6 to 7 billion users on a daily basis that use it. So it's key to communications today. Users kind of take it for granted. They use it every single day. So you had kind of the evolution from the first message over 27 years ago, and now we have MMS, which right around the 3G networks, whenever they started coming alive, we started sending images and graphics and pictures. They're still pretty limited in the capabilities as far as the size, the quality, some interoperability issues. They kind of started to do some group messaging, but it kind of broke depending on what handset and version you were using.
For MMS, and that's what MMS is it's a picture that's sort of glued onto an SMS?
No, it's actually like an email. It's very similar to like an email, being sent between the devices and the network. It uses get down to technical. It uses HTTP as a protocol to send messages and to receive messages. Okay. And then, so RCS kind of builds on top of that, and it kind of follows consumer behavior. So consumers wanted a device or a service that they can now send. We've got these phones with, I don't know, latest like maybe 12 megapixel cameras, and saw the latest iPhone and those devices, the quality of the images and the graphics and the videos and the way that people are communicating today has evolved. They want to do things like, group chats. They want to see whether the person's typing, whether the message has been sent, delivered, display. Locations now mix into all that. So all that is now part of the way we communicate using messaging. So it's beyond just, picking up the phone. No one calls each other anymore. We always message. And I think what we'll talk about a little bit is RCS is moving beyond just a consumer experience. So me and you messaging each other, now businesses and brands, and it's really, you're getting an entire ecosystem that's developing around it, because that is the way people communicate today, is through messaging.
So, I think all of us are probably familiar with the messaging experience on our phones today. I don't think there's anyone who is not, using messaging to some degree. And I think that a lot of those things, group messaging, the little ... where you see someone is typing to you, and so you wait until you see what they say. A lot of those functions are available today on specific phones in sort of select environments, like on, the iPhone, iMessage.
Yep.
But RCS is different.
Sure.
And so I guess, why is it different? Why do we need this when we already have some of these other things?
Sure. So I guess some of the benefits of RCS is it becomes a native experience. So it's not whether or not I'm in the Apple ecosystem, or if I'm in the WhatsApp or Telegram or WhatsApp, Viber. There's a ton of OTT services that have come in to try to kind of take that value and to take that consumer relationship. But the value the benefit to the carrier, well, there's several. One is that it can become the native experience. So out of the box, I'm not having to download an application. The other one is that it's a carrier grade service. You have the security, you have the trust, you have all these things that, if I'm sending a message across Facebook Messenger, are they listening in? Am I going to start getting ads because of what I'm doing a conversation with my friends? So there's some privacy concerns there. And those are warranted, actually. So the carrier still has that trust. If I'm going to, let's say, start doing some banking with messaging or start making some purchases, I'd feel more comfortable doing it through my carrier messaging than I would through an OTT provider like a WhatsApp.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's like a legitimate
Yeah.
thing, is that I know, those of us who use Facebook Messenger, I think that there's no expectation of privacy anymore given the, news that we've had coming out
Absolutely.
about Facebook. I think another big question about RCS is whether anyone's using it.
Sure.
No one wants to go first, I
Yeah.
think is a fair assessment for a lot of technologies. So where are we today in terms
Okay.
of operator embrace of RCS, either in the US or globally?
Okay, that's a great question. As far as, 2019 was a pivotal year for RCS, especially in the United States. You now have all the tier 1 operators, so you have the big 4 that have launched. You also have US Cellular, another carrier that have launched. You have the carriers in Canada, the big tier 1s in Canada that have launched as well. And you're seeing group rollouts. So you're seeing the Orange rollouts. You're seeing the T-Mobile, Deutsche Telekom rollouts. You're seeing, so it's globally starting to expand, especially with these group operators. So today, RCS is going to be about remaining relevant and remaining competitive. So carriers that have not launched RCS, in order to remain relevant, in order to remain competitive, to have that service, that's a driver that they're going to need, because consumers are going to say, hey, how come whenever I'm on this, I can do this, or my friend on AT&T or Verizon can do these things, but I can't. Yep. So it will become a pivotal service for any operator today, just like messaging is.
And so so you said that they have launched that already. Are we seeing that now, or are there phones out now and services out now that are using that kind of thing?
Absolutely. So today globally they're around 300 million active daily users on RCS globally. There's about 30 million in the United States. There are roughly 80 carriers globally that have launched RCS. That's anticipated to be over 100 by the end of this year, and then over a billion monthly active users by the end of next year.
Okay. The best, like you said, if your friend has it and you don't, when SMS first rolled around, a friend of mine had it and another friend didn't, and so he would send insults, and the one who was receiving it couldn't respond because he hadn't bought SMS. So I'm assuming that it'll work the same way. But this isn't.
There'll be much richer insults with like animated GIFs and videos.
Right. Yeah. Making it even worse. Yeah, exactly. But that's not necessarily why operators might want to launch RCS.
Correct.
There's a whole other thing about, like you mentioned, about the business aspect of it.
Correct. Yeah.
So what does that mean? What is like the leading business model for RCS for operators? How do they make money?
Yeah. So one of the things that kind of slowed the adoption of RCS was the fact that there really wasn't a strong or compelling business case for mobile operators to launch. It's great. It's new features. Subscriber experience is improved. But how am I going to monetize it? How am I actually going to make some money off of this service? Well, what's driving RCS adoption globally is about A to P, which is application to person messaging. So it's about connecting brands and enterprises to subscribers. So if you think about the way marketing works, they follow the eyeballs, right? So if everybody was watching TV, they go to the television, from print ads, and now it was on the web, and everyone went to mobile web advertising from the PC. And now messaging is where the eyeballs are at. People spend most time on any device within their messaging application, so that's where the brands want to engage subscribers. And the cool thing is it's the way they're designing it and the way they've designed it, it's not about spam. So it's not about just sending you a bunch of stuff you don't want within your messaging inbox. It's about creating really use cases that solve problems. So integrating natural language processing and AI and chatbots into the messaging experience for brands to do things like customer care, customer service, send redemptions and coupons and QR codes, all the things to make it because don't want to classify it to the millennials, but a lot of people, they want to sit in there and they want to text. If I want to communicate with Visa, I don't want to pick up the phone and call. I just want to be able to message with them the same way I would message with my friends.
Okay, and so how does the operator make money?
Sure.
From that? What's the business model for that?
All right, so it starts at the top where you have the brands that are paying for these A2P messages, so they're paying for the experience. Today, you have A2P SMS. So, two-factor authentication, you have, going back to the American Idol days, text-to-win type applications, where they're paying for those messages to be delivered across the carrier's network. Now, it can be, for a couple pennies, but those, multiplied over millions to billions of messages add up to real revenue. So the brands are paying what are called aggregators who aggregate the brands. So they work with the brands, they create the customer use cases, they bring them to market, and those aggregators then have platforms that connect to the carrier's infrastructure, messaging infrastructure, to deliver those A2P messages. And the business case changes a little bit with RCS because it's a richer experience. It's not just a one-way communication where you're sending a text message limited to 160 characters. You now have rich images and carousels, QR codes, location, richer analytics. The message has been sent, delivered, displayed, kind of like those web analytics that the brands and enterprises look for. That's now all integrated into RCS, and the carrier gets paid for that. So whether it be message-based, based upon the amount of data, or based upon the amount of conversations we have, the carrier is getting revenue from that.
Okay. And are we so, the idea of a subway paying a wireless operator for access to, hungry shoppers is pretty compelling, I would think. Yeah. So, how close are we to that idea?
Sure.
I mean, are there brands now that are paying for that kind of access, considering that we've got phones and carriers that are supporting them?
Yeah, so if you're an AT&T subscriber, you have a latest Samsung devices, or I think S7 or above, you'll see within that Samsung messages, you'll see a chatbot tab. You click on the chatbot tab and you'll see live chatbots. From Walgreens, you're clipping coupons, to 1-800-Flowers, where you're ordering flowers for your mom. I think between 20 and 30 chatbots they have live that are generating real revenue for both the brands and for the mobile operators.
Okay. And I think anyone who's sort of followed this RCS topic, there has been some skepticism about it over the years. I mean, and this is, I think that I looked back and I think I wrote my first story on RCS in like 2013 or something, So this is an idea that has been around for a while among inside of the operator, the global operator community. So, I mean, are we going to have the same conversation in 2 years about, it's almost here, it's totally going to be amazing? Or, I mean, how do we know that now is the time? Sure. Versus 2 years ago?
Absolutely. Number one is the business case. What was kind of dragging the feet for RCS has been a business case. They tried to launch it in Europe whenever the WhatsApp kind of took over the P2P experience, and they're trying to monetize it and sell it for more, and that's just not going to happen when you have OTT players offering the service for free or relatively free, because there's very little data that's being used. Right. But then now that you have the A2P use cases in live, actually generating traffic and revenue for the mobile operators. And then you have the actual carriers that have committed. I mean, you have the tier 1 operators in the United States that have all launched and have devices that are live today with RCS. I'll say the next hump in this is going to be getting all those carriers interconnected. So the fact that, we both have RCS, we're on different carriers, so Mike and I can start to communicate together using RCS, using the inter-carrier network and hubs, same way, SMS skyrocketed when all the carriers started interconnecting. And no longer is this little private island, but now you're connected to a global ecosystem, a global group of subscribers.
Okay. In terms of operator revenues, can you give us any hints as to what they might be seeing? Is this a big opportunity? Is it a small opportunity? Can you kind of put it into context, maybe now or next year?
Sure. So
the revenues from marketers.
Sure. So and it's going to be dependent on the operator size, right? So the more subscribers they have, the more revenue opportunity they have. So this year's RCS engagement starts out about 7 messages per subscriber per month, and that's going to climb up to about 54, 55 engagements per month within 5 years, so 2023. So if you multiply that by a factor of what you're getting paid per message, which does vary region to region, but could be upwards of 8 to 10 cents a message. But there's also this is just, we'll kind of get to that, but it's starting to build a platform of innovation. So you're building a platform where, if you think about it, it's kind of been the dream, like as a carrier, let me expose the network's capabilities, let me expose my subscriber identity and location and messaging via APIs so that these new apps could be developed, so that these use cases could be brought to market. And RCS creates that. So it's really up to the operator, how much are they going to be engaging with leveraging it themselves for customer care, customer service, upselling. That's going to, one, reduce costs, which is a cost savings to them, but also bring in new revenue to them as well. Or are they going to work with their local municipalities and businesses to bring some of these use cases to market as well and start to monetize that as well?
All right, there you go. Well, unfortunately, I see our clock is ticking down, so I'm going to have to leave it there. But please join me in thanking our excellent speaker today.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Steve.
Thank you so very much. Mike, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm glad to see some opportunities for the wireless carriers to maybe claw back some of that revenue stream that has been lost over the last several years to OTT providers. Okay, next, I'm very pleased to have